Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte, and we are recording this on Sunday, May 21st, 2023. Late Sunday evening. We'll actually have this released tomorrow, I think, time permitting, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and have a quick injury report, quick injury update. Kerry Carpenter sprained his shoulder in a game in Detroit in early May, and he has been on the 15-day injured list, and he is resuming baseball activities. He's hitting. He's in a throwing progression. He's with the team in Washington right now. Well, they're probably in Kansas City now. So he's with the team doing baseball-related activities. That's something that the Tigers have started doing lately, is bringing their injured players to the big club and letting them work out with the big club instead of working out at the training facility in Lakeland. They do some of that as well, but they also have this new regiment where they actually work out with the big squad. Well, not with the big squad, but they're a part of the clubhouse. They're able to actually sit in the clubhouse and hang out with the team and join the team for activities and things of that nature. And it's for the mental health of the injured player. It makes them feel like they're part of the team still and not just sort of out there on an island. And not like they've got to deal with their injury all by themselves, because it's basically saying, look, the whole team is with you and supporting you. So that's a good thing. Tarik Skubal threw off a bullpen yesterday. No update on that. Bo Brisky has been transferred to the 60-day injured list because of some right forearm discomfort. This is after having ulnar nerve entrapment procedures to relieve ulnar nerve entrapment. Matt Manning is going to be doing a throwing progression, or is in a throwing progression. He'll be throwing off a mound within the next week. He's got a broken foot, of course. Spencer Turnbull went on the injured list after a rough outing in St. Louis, a game that the Tigers won, but Turnbull wasn't around for the final to get in the final decision. On May 7th, he was sent down to the minors, but it was revealed that he had a neck issue, and so his option to the minors was rescinded, and he's still with the big club. Now, he will probably go to the minors for rehab work, but that's a whole lot different than going to the minors to work some things out. So that's going to be a thing for him to deal with, and we wish him well. We hope that he recovers soon, because he has the potential to be a huge part of this rotation. Now, Detroit did not look good in their last two games. Really, they did not look good in the entire series against Washington. You go up 8-0 on a team, you shouldn't win by a score of 8-6. Matt Boyd sort of lost it in the sixth inning of Friday night's game. Mason Englert didn't have his best stuff on Friday, and Washington made it closer than they were supposed to. Of course, Detroit dropped the last two games of that series yesterday and today, and as a result, are currently 1-2 on the road trip. They've got games against Kansas City and Chicago over the next 10 games. So we'll see where that goes. They've got Kansas City and Chicago, basically home and home the next 2 weeks, and this is a chance to make some big strides in your division. And we'll see if the Tigers have the ability to take advantage of that, or if they are not going to take advantage. You know, you got a Chicago team that's 12 games under 500, and you can put distance between you and that team. That team is your closest competition in the division. I mean, obviously they're in a fight with Cleveland, but if you can put more distance between you and Chicago, then you're basically taking care of yourself in your own division, and that's important. You've already got a 4-2 record in the division. Okay, they haven't played Minnesota yet. They haven't played Kansas City or Chicago, but they have played Cleveland, and they're 4-2 against Cleveland this year. So you've already made a statement there. Now are you going to make a statement to the rest of the division and start beating up on the teams that you should beat up on? This is a White Sox team that doesn't have its identity yet, that hasn't found itself yet, that is probably going to be better later on in the season, but right now they're not doing very well, and Detroit could very easily, in May, do some damage that will last through September. And so, this is important. This is an important two series for Detroit. The Chicago series is, and the Kansas City series is important as well, because Detroit's had trouble with Kansas City. Detroit has not played Kansas City well. Kansas City took the season series from Detroit last year. So, this is a chance to again, you need to make a statement in your division. Are you going to be the same Tigers from 2022 and 2021 and 2020 and 2019 and back before Ron Gardenhire got hired that just haven't won in their own division? Or are you going to start winning in your division and giving yourself a chance to be something, be relevant come the second half? Now, I have this team as a 75-win team. I don't have this team as a relevant team in the second half. And based on the way that they've played over the last week, last 10 days, I look like a genius. Because you get absolutely hammered 2 out of 3 against Seattle. You look so-so in 2 games against Pittsburgh. And you completely fall apart and crap the bed in 3 games against Washington. So, if you go based on your last 8 games, this is not a good team. This is a 75-win team at best. If you base it on what they did against Cleveland in Cleveland, and the Mets, and the Cardinals, then you know what? This team is going to be relevant in the second half. But they have to sort themselves out. They have to figure out if this 8-game skid, if this 8-game series is, if these last 8 games is typical, or if it's a bump in the road, and they'll get back to the way they were against Cleveland and the Mets and the Cardinals. And I'll even say against the Brewers. Because they took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. And that's no easy feat. So they missed out on a winning week, a second winning week in a row. They had a winning week last week. They could have had a winning week this week if they had just taken 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. They did not do that. And Eduardo Rodriguez got really smacked around on Wednesday, which was kind of a surprise because he's been pitching so well. However, Michael Lorenzen looked pretty good on Tuesday. Now, that's a positive. So Joey Wentz only went 2 innings tonight. He gave up 6 runs on 10 hits, was taken out in the third, and didn't look good in going those 2+ innings. And the bullpen is pretty taxed after a rough series in Washington, let's face it. Alex Faedo didn't do the bullpen any favors yesterday. Matt Boyd went into the sixth, but the staff ended up giving up 6 runs on Friday. So the positive side to all of this is you've got Michael Lorenzen going tomorrow, and he's been pretty consistent the last 3 or 4 starts. You got Lorenzen going tomorrow, and you got Rodriguez going on Tuesday, and I guarantee you Rodriguez is going to want to make up for what he did last Wednesday. So, you've got those 2 guys going. So your bullpen, if they pitch the way they're supposed to, they being Lorenzen and Rodriguez, your bullpen's going to be in pretty good shape when Wednesday rolls around and Matt Boyd starts again. Or sorry, Matt Boyd starts again. And then, of course, Alex Faedo and Joey Wentz are later this week. And not that Faedo did a bad job. He did okay. He just didn't give you what you would want coming off of a couple of games where your bullpens had to shoulder a pretty heavy workload. And he's young. He'll learn. Wentz is young. He'll learn. But I don't. Right now, the 2 strongest pitchers in the Tigers starting rotation are Eduardo Rodriguez and Michael Lorenzen. And I'm just kind of concerned that after that, there's a pretty big drop-off. And I mean it from a consistency standpoint. I don't mean it necessarily from a talent standpoint. Matt Boyd is still trying to find himself, and it kind of makes me wonder what Tarik Skubal is going to be like when he comes back in June or July or whenever he does. And we'll see all about that. That's not going to be, that's a thing to worry about at some point, but not right now. So I wanted to kind of touch on what I think this team is, and right now I still don't know. Because of their consistency issues. This is a team that has 20 wins. They're 20 and 24. Yeah, 20 and 25. So they're 5 games under 500 at this point. And based on the first 45 games who they've been playing against, I don't mind that. I'm actually quite happy with where this team is. I'm happy with the fact I'm shocked with the fact that they're in second place or third place in a dogfight with the Cleveland Guardians. I'm really shocked. And it makes me happy. If you told me that you would have played the teams that the Tigers have played, and you'd have 21 wins out of those 46 games at the beginning of the year, yeah, I'd take that. Because this is a team that went 9-24 in 2021 and 9-24 in 2022. Now in 2021, of course, they went 60, 68 and 61 after that 9-24 start, and last year they just continued to sit in the cellar. I would take a 68 win. I'd take 68 wins over the next. That would be 89 games. That'd be 89 wins. That would be close to making the playoffs right there. I'd take that. I'd take 60 wins. Because that gives us 81 wins, and we're 81 and 81, and everything's fine. We're 500. And I look like an idiot, but in a positive sense. I don't think this team is worse than 75 wins, but I think if this team plays the way that are capable of playing, and if the way that they've continued to play the way that they have played, when they've won, this team could be better than 75 wins. So right now, I'm going to say that the Tigers are a 75 win or better team. I don't think they're worse than 75 wins. But I think they've got a lot of work to do if they want to stay on that or better path. Riley Green has upped his average. Spencer Torkelson is hitting still. Javi Baez is striking out at a lower clip right now than he has in his entire career. He's striking out at a 17.5% clip, just over 17.5% clip. I think his previous career low in strikeout percentage was 28. So this team is making strides. This team is doing things well, but they're still last in runs. They're still 28th in total offense. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I want to thank Anchor for distributing the podcast. If you want to check us out on YouTube, you can. youtube.com/@TBPodcast, @Podcast Tigers on Twitter. I still haven't found a Mastodon home yet. You can email the show, tigersbaseballpodcast@gmail.com. I'd be glad to hear from you. I will upload this video to YouTube either tomorrow or Tuesday, and we will post the podcast at that point. Thanks for listening, folks. We will talk to you again next week. And as always, go Tigers.